Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is yours truly, Baphomet, and we are going to go into the second trip of Dr. Timothy Leary, High Priest. So, a quick recap of the first. It was basically Timothy Leary going over his first introduction to psychedelics and that kind of thing, and like staying in a hotel, feeling really sick and having a bunch of strange events happening along the way, such as his children's dog shitting all over the floor and then being kicked out of a hotel, and it's a bit of a trip. And he talks a lot about like how psychologists actually sort of impose their idea and thoughts on people instead of actually trying to heal the underlying cause of people's misery. And that seems to check out because there's been like people being randomly pulled off the street to answer a questionnaire about the supposed correct response to certain problems, psychological, or how you would solve it as a psychologist. And it's been shown that psychologists actually really don't have that much of an upper hand as opposed to someone who just a regular person. And that, you know what, that kind of makes sense because psychology is built in, it's in our nature, it's internal. It's a landscape of its own. Not all disciplines require training. Well, what I mean about that is you don't need a bloody degree and you don't need someone to tell you these things or be instructed in them if ye have wisdom and can sort of go within yourself. Now, with that in mind, certain things do kind of need practice and maybe instruction, such as certain sciences, like if you're talking about mathematics, chemistry, and physics, and a bunch of other things. But even then, there becomes a certain point where you can't actually, where you actually do need to use your own ingenium, and you can't always rely on what academics tell you. And that's the whole point of science in the first place. It's to evolve, to gain new understanding, and a bunch of other things. So without further ado, we are going to get right into the second trip. God reveals himself in mysterious forms. All right, so the I Ching, August 1960, guide Robert Gordon Wasson. Almost sounds like Robert Anton Wilson. And I've been reading his Illuminatus, the historical Illuminatus book so far, and it's fucking fantastic. I'm only 32nd pages in and I'm already hooked. And it's been a long time since I didn't try to see if the chapter was ending or how much longer I got to go. So it's quite engaging. All right, let's begin. The arousing thunder, the receptive earth. Thunder comes resounding out of the earth, the image of enthusiasm. Thus the ancient kings made music in order to honor merit and offered it with splendor. Interesting. So yeah, you guys can read that stuff alongside if you want. So like for hallucinogen fungi, I do not recall which of us, my wife or I first had to put in the words. But that's very interesting. Okay, let's begin. I was first drugged out of my mind in Cuernavaca, August 1960. I ate 7 of the sacred mushrooms of Mexico and discovered that beauty, revelation, sensuality, the cellular history of the past, God, the devil, all lie inside my body, outside of my mind. As above, so below, as within, so without. In the days of Montezuma, this town called Horn of the Cow was the center of soothsayers, wise men, and magicians. Cuernavaca is the southern anchor point of a line running from the fabled volcanic peaks Popo and Itzaquitl. I hope you're having fun with me butchering names. Or over the volcano of Toluca. On the high slopes of the volcanoes, east and west of the capital, grow the sacred mushrooms of Mexico, divinatory fungi, Tenochtitlan, flesh of the gods. It's sort of interesting that it gets called flesh of the gods because it's, I guess, fleshy. Like I think he's referring to psilocybin, and I sort of heard that maybe last night soma is actually psilocybin, and that's why cows are sacred to India, because psilocybin grows out of cow dung. And it's sort of, I guess, related to things such as Taurus and like the Hierophant and that kind of thing. So there's actually some correspondence there. So maybe fungi actually are the kind of, it's like hierophantic sort of correspondence because of where it comes from, generally from cow dung. Well, that's where it mostly comes from. Obviously, it can come from other places, but that is the most common place to find it. Anyway, going on. In the summer of 1960, Cuernavaca was the site of considerable activity by American psychologists, soothsayers, medicine men, would-be magicians from the north, vacationing on research grants and working in the lush valley of Morelos, in sight of the snowy peaks of the legendary volcanoes. Eric Fromm was running an experimental project down the highway, studying the social and emotional currents of Indian village life. Over the Petzlton, 10 miles to the east, Professor David McClelland, on vacation from Harvard, was working on plans to help underdeveloped countries raise their economic standards through psychological techniques and the Protestant ethic. Don't know how I feel about that. It's not like all of Christianity is bad, but maybe they're just going through maybe the work ethic. Maybe it's good. His statistics showed that Catholic, Muslim, Buddhist countries were poor. Elliot Danzig, Mexico's leading industrial psychologist, was a few cornfields away in his villa, which sits next to the cliff under the altar of the god Tepetzetco. Was a few cornfields away in his villa, which sits next to the cliff under the altar of the god. Oh, fuck's sake, I already did that. Sorry, guys. It was this altar, often shrouded in rain clouds, that the Aztecs had worshipped the god Tepetzetco to drum rolls of the arousing thunder and bolts of lightning, the clinging flame. It was he who showed down blessings, including the gifts of pulque, a milky beer fermented from cactus. I wonder if that's referring to San Pedro, or it's just another kind of beer, like with the sugars. A bit like Pascal. What's it called? Like a tequila sort of made out of a cactus, and so, well, many tequilas are made out of a cactus. In Cuernavaca, another villa served as summer headquarters for 4 American psychologists, Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert of Harvard, Frank Barron of California, and Richard Dettering of San Francisco. The happenings of that summer in Cuernavaca were to set up reverberations which have echoed now for years. Many of the scientists who were working and vacationing that season had their lives dramatically changed. And none of them will ever completely escape from the mysterious power that challenged the paradox of what started to unfold. I was working on a book about the philosophy of the behavioral sciences. I was dissatisfied with the theory and methods of psychology and trying to develop an existential transactional approach to the study of human events. Smart man. Existential means you study natural events as they unfold without prejudicing them with your own concepts. Yep, the map's not the territory. You surrender your mind to the events. Transactional means you see the research situation as a social network of which the experimenter is one part. The psychologist doesn't stand outside the event but recognizes his part in it and works collaboratively with the subject towards mutually selected goals. This philosophical position, when applied, generates a lot of emotion. For one thing, it bypasses the traditional experimenter subject and doctor-patient relationships. It tells the doctor and the scientist to relax his control. Now, that is actually quite important because we typically Western society tries to take control of everything and sort of misapplies a lot of medicine because usually they're only focusing on the physical aspect. What's up, Illuminostic? Nice to see you on again. But yeah, it's the same sort of thing where, because like a lot of medical issues can go away or resolve themselves if the brain and the mind and the subconscious is healed. Because it's actually a concept in Chinese medicine where a lot of things like to occur alongside other things. So yeah, father issues. I think I'd have to imagine like there would be spinal problems, skeletal problems, mother issues, gastrointestinal, and that kind of thing. And sort of cerebral sort of stuff as well would be part of the father side as well. Yet we'll continue. It urges that every man be his own scientist, do his own research. It bypasses the controlled experiment in favor of the natural sequence of behavior. You don't have to design an experiment, Dr. Jones. You are already part of one. The 1967 phenomenon of several million Americans taking LSD on their own, exploring their own conscious, doing it themselves, developing their own methods of turning on, is nothing less than an existential transactional revolution in psychology. The professionals, the doctors and the experimentalists and the government officials don't like it. Yeah? You know how I was just talking about earlier? How you don't always necessarily need to have a degree in everything and that you can sort of figure out the stuff yourself? That's part of it. They don't like it. And when government officials can no longer inform you of their worldview, or doctors or academics, when they can no longer inform your own worldview, everything comes undone. So it doesn't mean you got to, obviously this takes analysis and practice and that kind of thing. But yeah. Yeah, the idea of people going out and solving their own problems, changing their own consciousness, irritates the doctors. They say it's indiscriminate, unsupervised, uncontrolled, and basically for kicks. Fucking hell, man. They are right. It is, and it should be. It fucking should be. You know, it's interesting because I personally, have done most trips by myself, and it's actually some of the more productive ones out of all the ones I've had. So that's actually the truth. He's telling the truth. That's what life itself is, an indiscriminate, unsupervised, uncontrolled 2 billion year old energy dance with ecstatic communion as the goal. Fuck, I am definitely writing that part down. What timestamp are we at? 12 minutes. Let's do that one. Very good. These laws are not forces external to things, but represent the harmony of movement immanent in them. That is why the celestial bodies do not deviate from their orbits, and why all events in nature occur with fixed regularity. The Villa and Kirk. I actually might be slightly dyslexic as I go on doing this series, because I'm constantly tripping over myself, so I apologize. Things I've learned about myself through this whole journey. The villa in Kernakava, which became the backdrop for my mushroom revelations, needs to be described. The setting, the surrounding, is a key factor in the outcome of any visionary voyage, whether you use mushrooms or marijuana or LSD or rosary beads. So, yeah. And in this regard, the Kernakava mushrooms eaters were fortunate. The Spanish-style villa was out on the Acapulco Road near the golf course. It was a rambling white stucco house with scarlet trim, surrounded by grey stone walls. The walls were pierced by 2 red iron scroll gates. And there was a long veranda and a wide staircase leading down to a carriage drive. Down below was a sloping lawn ringed by flowers. 2 rows of red urns flanked the stairs. The villa had been built by Mexican Muslims and remodeled by Mexican Viennese. It was colourful, open and lush. Next to the upper terrace was a swimming pool. Lake blue, and the lawn fell away downslope to a lower green terrace lawn. The close-cropped turf was thick, rough Kernakava grass, good to look at, but matting into heavily piled green carpet, scraping your bare feet and leaving tattooed welts on your back after you lay on it. Oh, that can't be fun. It's definitely not fun. The lower lawn was shaded by lazy ahueate trees, and on the walls of the villa, vines, green splashed with red, yellow, orange, and the clear blue of the mile-high Morellos, skying the lush green of the golf course fairway down below the wall. Summer days, swimming trunks before breakfast, ontological discussions, the cold grapefruit eaten by a hot poolside, the egocentric fallacy of the doctor-patient relationship. Damn. Touch football on the lawn, the imposition of psychological categories on the flow of life, clear hot sun, burning tan skin, the need to collaborate with subjects, the startled valley of iced drinks, and the anti-existential impact of the Mexico City news with its Aristotelian structure of essences and abstractions. The shout of Jack Leary and the Mexican boy, Pepe. Pepe. I'm sorry. It's because that name, I'm sure if you're part of 4chan board culture and that kind of thing, you know who Pepe is. And it's just fun to hear that name, I guess. Chasing ducks on the lower lawn, visitors from Mexico City divine wider bounds for inquiry, the sudden cooling splash of the evening rain, Dewey and Bentley, Kennedy and Nixon. Thunder and earth, the sky over the volcanoes, candles at dinner. Be like the sun at midday. A frequent visitor was Gerhard Braun, anthropologist, historian linguist from the University of Mexico. With him would come Joan, his girlfriend, and Betty, an English major from the University of California, who wrote poetry and cracked jokes and played touch football with the kids. Gerhard had been studying the Aztec culture and translating old texts written in Nahuatl, the language used by the Aztecs before the conquest. He had discovered repeated references to the use of sacred mushrooms by Aztec soothsayers on ceremonial occasions to predict the future, to feel better, to solve mental problems. And that is definitely very true. You can do all kinds of wacky shit in altered states, divination, precognition, and usually it feels like a bit of a hangover. Like as soon as, usually after you've taken them, weird stuff starts happening in the outside world and stuff that you're not even really aware of. And it's almost like, in my experience, it's almost like certain neural nets that you're not even aware of fall apart, which is always a fantastic thing to see. On the eve of Emperor's coronation, Mexico City got high on mushrooms, but the Spanish historians, most of them priests, rarely mentioned the magic mushrooms. And when they did, it was in prudish, frightened terms. Evil! Danger! Fear! Yeah, not understanding shit, so you repel. So that's interesting. Gerhard's curiosity was aroused and he had asked around about the mushrooms and discovered that they grew on the volcanic slopes near Mexico City. So one day we drove up to the village of San Pedro. Oh, there's a city called San Pedro. That's cool. I need to go there someday. Near the volcano of Toluca and walked around the marketplace asking about the sacred mushrooms. Bruce Connor came with us shooting movies, dancing around filming the sides of meat hanging in the butcher shops and the swarms of black flies and the piles of fruit. The sidewalk displays of clove woven in red and yellow seed and cell designs. There was much thoughtful shaking of heads by the shopkeepers where the mushrooms were mentioned and conversation in low Spanish in the back rooms. Old Juana was the one to see. Where did one find Juana? She would come to the market. Wait right here under the arch. She'll come soon. We stood there for an hour while the sandaled market day crowds padded by. An old woman, backbent, grey stringy hair, black shawl, eyes down, creaking stiffly. Senora Juana. She brushed by us, not responding to our hail, not stopping or looking up at us. Sometimes it's not about if they're senile. It's just the way people interact with each other. So that's an interesting thing. She passed through the market street and turned at the corner and walked away from the village. We followed along the rutted dirt road on the outskirts of town. Gerhard walked fast and caught up with Juana. She stopped and they began to talk. We stood back and waited and watched. Juana seemed to be listening. Then she stood up at Gerhard, nodded her head, pointed up to the mountain, turned, pointed back to town, and then started off down the road. Gerhard returned to us smiling. Okay, it's all set. She'll get the mushrooms next Wednesday, and I'll meet her in the marketplace next Thursday. Yeah, I guess people from different cultures have some strange ways of communicating, and maybe they managed to pick it up. The following Thursday, Gerhardt phoned from Mexico City, excited he had met Juana in the market. They had gone away from the tumult of the market to the shade of a church hall. He asked her if she was sure if they were safe. She popped 2 of them in her mouth before his eyes. Damn. So, oh! He washed them in cold water, and they are resting now on the center shelf of his refrigerator. See you Saturday. Saturday, the day of visions, dawned sunny and clear. Around noon, Gerhardt and his group arrived from Mexico City, Juan and Betty the poet. I met them on the lawn, and the group stood in a welcoming circle. My son Jack's iguana, a 4-foot dinosaur, crawled up and lay on his belly, blinking his black ancient ebony eyes, and everyone stopped to inspect the long, blunt snout, the patterned design of his canvas skin. Our old friend who crawled up from the crevice of our planet's history and breathed slowly and flicked his lids and watched us live and die. They say he was 100 years old. The maid was surprised when we walked into the kitchen to watch the hongos, and she was even more surprised to learn that we weren't planning to cook them. Crudos? Her dark eyes narrowed, then the resigned shrug. Americans are eccentric. Yeah, obviously to outside cultures, we're probably a bit strange and eccentric as well. I mean, I think that's a big thing, you know. We tend to always... like when we perceive someone as rude or strange or dangerous or that kind of stuff, it's sometimes just from a complete lack of understanding of how things in their culture work. And I think that's where some of the frustration can come from. Like when you go to China, right? Particularly Beijing, everyone's like shouting, like almost shouting at each other. It's weird. Everyone's like really aggressive, and they're very direct. But it's not because they're rude. It's just the way they talk to each other. And obviously when they come over to do so, like when they might immigrate here, they'll then go and talk directly and sort of, I guess, bluntly, the same way they did back at home. And that's what causes frustration and I guess the perception, oh, they're rude, oh, they're nasty or that kind of thing. So it's important that we actually do try to understand people's cultures a bit more and not and sort of reserve judgment until we sort of understand why they do it in the first place. And it goes both ways, both the West and East and Middle East. Doesn't matter where. Anyway, let's continue. Gerhardt had talked with the university botanist and had researched the field thoroughly. So while he supervised the cleaning, he started to lecture on the mushrooms known and used by the Aztecs, banned by the Catholic Church, said by leading botanists not even to exist. The trance-giving mushrooms pushed out of history, noticed until the last decade when they had been discovered by Weitlinger and Schultz and the American mycologists. Valentina and Gordon Wasson paused to clear throat, but now they had been eaten by a few scientists, a few poets, a few intellectuals looking for mystical experiences. They produced wondrous trances. Oh yeah? What does he mean by that? There were 2 kinds, females and males. The lady mushrooms with a familiar umbrella shape, but black, ominous, bitter looking. Sorry, that's... I'm not going to reserve my comments for that. The male anatomy was so phallic, there was no need to ask why they were called males. So yeah, it looked more phallic. Wondrous trances, the words meant nothing. We moved out to the pool. The mushrooms were in 2 large bowls, male and female separate. On the table under the huge beach umbrella, Gerhardt was still lecturing now about the dosage. 6 females and 6 males. The effect should begin after an hour. Then he stuffed a big, black, moldy, damp mushroom in his mouth and made a face and chewed, and I watched his Adam's apple bounce as it went down. Oh, very descriptive, Leary. Gerhardt was Voyager number 1. I picked one up. It stank of forest damp and crumbling logs and New England basement. Oh dear. Are you sure they are not poisonous? Gerhard shrugged. Oh man. That's what I asked the old witch, and she swore that they were okay, and she popped a few in her mouth to demonstrate. I looked around. Juan, following Gerhardt's example, was munching somewhat unhappily. She was explorer number 2. Mandy, my girlfriend, was miserably chewing. She was number 3. Dick Deddering was looking down so that the loose pouches under his eyes sagged. Well, Dicko? He gave a fierce, scared look and began to nibble at his palm with squirrely movement. He was number 4. I went next. They tasted worse than they looked. Bitter, stringy, filthy. Man. I took a slug of Carta Blanca and jammed the rest in my mouth and washed them down. Number 5. Poet Betty, standing by the edge of the terrace, was suddenly vomiting black strings in the bushes. Then she ate more. She was number 6. Man, they must have been fucking disgusting. And you know, like, a lot of plant medicine, for anyone who hasn't experienced, can absolutely taste rank. Like, particularly Ecuadorian, like, Brigetsii cactus, it is disgusting. And you can taste it in your mouth, even after about half an hour, even if you get rid of it with something else. It's so rank. Gerhardt was telling us that the males had no effect and served only a ceremonial function. Interesting. Everyone was listening to his own stomach, expecting to be poisoned. Quite a picture. 6 of us sitting around on the sunlit terrace in our bathing suits, waiting, asking each other, how many did you take? Males or females? Do you feel anything? 2 people fasted. Ruth Dattering was eager to eat, but she was pregnant, and Dick scolded her with froggy hurry-ups until she agreed to wait. She had been a nurse, and I was glad that she was going to be out of trance. I talked to her about how to call for an ambulance and stomach pumps. And Whiskers farted. Whiskers was a friend of a friend and had arrived the night before. He was slight in build, sweet in demeanor, a sensitive logician just flunked out of Michigan, clipping his words, hesitant, pedantic, anxious about sending a cable to his mother. To his mother? Huh, okay. He claimed he suffered from nervous fixes, and so he passed up the visions. He was sitting next to Gerhardt and was dressed in bathing trunks over flowered undershorts and green garters and black socks and leather shoes and a silken robe. He had been appointed scientist and was talking elaborate notes of Gerhardt's reactions. Suddenly, I begin to feel strange. Going under dental gas. Goodbye. Mightily nauseous. Detached, moving away from the group of bathing suits on a terrace under the bright Mexican sky. When I tell this, the others scoff. Ha ha, him, powers of suggestion, skepticism of my mind, of me, of mind, of my. Oh, now no matter. Dattering says he feels it too. Oh my God, I go into a poetic trance, and then there's this. Oh, muses of great genius, aid me now. Oh, memory that wrote down what I saw. Here shall your noble characters be shown. Oh, my friend, do you feel tingling in your face? Yes. Dental gas? Yes. Slight dizziness? Yes, exactly. Whiskers making notes. Rapid whiz pencil. Lips obscene gash, brown stained beard. Flowered underpants peeping out from bathing trunks, green socks, black shoes, thin shoulders, bending over notepad. Viennese analyst. Comic. Laugh, can't stop. Don't stop me now. Laugh, oh look at me, astonishment more. Laugh. Whiskers look up, red tongue flicks from his shrubbery. Lick lips, stomach laugh. So funny that I, laughing pointedly, the rabbi, psychoanalytical rabbinical rabbit, convulsed in laughter after. I started this stream with a lot of laughter, and they're fucking laughing. I'm laughing with them. What a world we live in. I'm laughing and they're laughing. I'm laughing to them towards their, like, I don't know, how many years ago would it be now? Fucking 60, I think. think it is 60, yeah. When at the beginning of summer, thunder electrical energy comes rushing forth from the earth again, and the first thunderstorm refreshes nature. A prolonged state of tension is resolved. Joy and relief make themselves felt. The I Ching. Pomposity of scholars, impudence of the mind, smug naivety of words. If whiskers could only see, staggering a ha-ha house, roaring into bedroom, fa-ha-ling on bed, doubled in laughter after, deterring follow. Watch curiously, may be scared, funnier. Then deterrings begin to laugh, huff, huff, huff. Then he laughs too, you see. Dick ho ho. The impudent mind? Comedy, yes. Only Ruth standing there grinning quizzically. The king is told not to be anxious, but to study how he may always be like to the sun and his meridian height. Checking and lightening all. Starting back to terrace, my walk has changed. Rubber legs, room is full of water. Underwater, floating in the air sea. Room, terrace, people, all underwater, but no words can describe. It's almost like poetry, this whole part. My God. Out on terrace, trances hit the others. Gerhardt sprawling on chair, staring up at umbrella, eyes popping, big as melons. Gone, 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 babbling. No, see whisker, pencil flying. Hear Gerhardt voice, an orange spot. I should stay 20 centimeters in diameter. Now changing to purple. Now being approached at an angle of 45 degrees by an alternating band of yellow and red. Scientists at work, funny, funny too. Long, lanky Gerhardt in straw sombrero gleaming. Staring eyes fixed in space. Tufted goatee bobbing up and down as he tapes our visions. Deterring swims up. Points to Gerhardt. We have laugh, huff, huff, huff. Swim to Poety Betty. On the beach by sunflowers, face turn up. Gone, gone, gone. I took 9. 9 she sighs. Betty makes hissing noise. Eyes tender, all women inviting. Ruth deterring, standing by the door. Swimming through water, suddenly omnious. Have you ever swum on moonlight? The moonless night in southern sea where sharks may be? And felt that dread of unknown black peril, swimming in ocean of energy with no mind to guide. Look, Ruth, I can tell you that this is going to hit me real hard. Harder than anything that has ever happened to me, and the others too. Ruth listens hard, nodding her good nurse head. Mate, you may have 6 psychotic nuts on your heads. I think you should send the kids downtown to the movies and the maid too. Get her out of here and lock the gates, and for God's sake, stay close and keep your eyes on things. Damn, this sounds like an absolute wild trip. It would have been absolutely awesome to trip alongside Timothy Leary and all his colleagues and things like that. This sounds fucking amazing. Oh, man. And I'm enjoying it just reading this. It's incredible. How do you feel having all things going on around you? Ruth grins, so envious I could scream. Sitting on chair, feeling cold doomed, sky dark, air still, soundless like ocean bottom, world stop spinning. Somewhere the big celestial motor which keeps universe moving is turned off and the whole business, terrace, house, lawn, city, world, coasting, dropping through space without sound. Many floats from beach chair, swims by. I watch her go, inside door, loosens hair. Fall down over shoulders, look out in bikini, wet tresses trailing. Mermaid eyes see far away. Seriously though. Old deterring floats over. Sea-toed face, bloated, purple-green warts. Froggy, we stand looking down over all green grass, blade, leaf, petal in focus, sharp, clearing, shining. Changing waves color like floodlights, slight at summer dance hall, kaleidoscope. Behold, you are come to the certain Amaroth, said Halder, for this is the heart of the ancient realm, and as it was long ago, here is the mouth of Amroth, where in happier days his high house was built. he ever bloom in the winter flowers and the unfading grass. The Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings. Here we go. Man, this is more like a like poetry at this point with this whole trip with at the moment, and I'm enjoying it. I'm getting right into it, and kind of needed it, really. So this is very therapeutic for me, actually. Mandy and I lie side by side on the beach chair. Her knees hit mine, they merge. No difference between skins. Last abstraction of self and self body's gone. Head on leg, my leg. Triple moved in sharp perspective. Little fleas in Tivoli, sideshow in Copenhagen, no words spoken. 5 us sit on terrace, still staring space. Catatonic, silent, withdrawn, sitting in heavenly asylum. Ruth, I talk. She psychiatric nurse, I good patient. She talks earnestly about reality. You must try LSD and mescaline and listen to... These things are fucking me up. Reality, you must try LSD and mescaline and see if they are different from mushrooms. Listen tolerantly. Pity her, poor creature. Think such affairs important. Mind games, head trips. Whiskers walks in kitchen, completely dressed. He is going to town to send another wire to mother. He is so serious about the comic game in which he is trapped. Whiskers seems so can't bear funny. On patio, scientist Gerhard, giggly, sitting peacefully, lost contemplation, Juan by side, but she is fighting spell, fluttering, talking, refusing to relax. Well, more poetic stuff here. Of great importance, furthermore, is the law of movement along the side of least resistance, which is this hexagram is enunciated as the law for natural events and for human life. The pentagram is actually quite important. Pentagram. Hexagram. Because that's sort of actually, that's sort of representative of the microcosm. Synchronicity. 358 view duration, which is sort of like Leviathan. And I sort of have a lot of weird things happening with the hexagram because it's sort of like the tongue of descending grace. It's basically, the marriage of beast man and that kind of thing. You should definitely read The Way to Suck Seed and The Way to Suck Eggs, which is entry 69 on the Book of Lies. It's probably one of the most important ones, and the amount of times that I've come across it is incredible in terms of allegory and things. Okay, here we go. Holds bowl of mushroom in hand. Hostess pushing cookies at church tea. Having another one more makes all the difference. I eat a second. Having another one more makes all the difference. I eat third. I eat third. Swim along veranda to bedroom. Shades drawn. Dark. Betty feels isolated. All woman untiled earth. I am sorry, tender. Her black hair drawn back big. Fuck's sake. Yeah, I definitely need to slow down or think about seeing if I'm dyslexic. Drawn back big ponytail. Cherokee princess, great beauty. Hummingbird, swoop from mouth. How do you feel? I sit trying answer. Can't talk. Can only look dual patterns. Swirling tapestry work in closed eyes. What is she asking me? Oh, yes. How do I feel? Far, far gone. She sits silently behind beadwork face. Do you have anything on your mind? Do you want to talk? She wants close intimacy, but I drift off to cabin of sea light. Gaha and Joanne come in. Fall on another bed. In Mandy's arms, her body warm, foam rubber, marshmallow flesh. Fuck. My body gone, fallen into her. 2 leafy water plants, twined together, undulating warm Bermuda sea, deep, entangled so that no one, not even plants themselves, can tell which leaf, which stem belongs to which. Gone again, gone into palace by Nile. Temple near Hong Kong, Babylonian boudoir, Bedouin pleasure tent, gem flash jewel, woven color, silk gown movement, mosaics, flaming color, museau, emerald, Burma rubies, Ceylon sapphire, mosaics lighted from within, glowing, moving, changing. 100 reptiles, jewel encrusted, hammered Moorish pattern snakeskin, snake mosaic, reptiles piled in giant, mild square chest, slide sliver, tumble down central drain, one by one, one by one. Such happy beauty, I lift up head to laugh. Ha ha ha! From around come answering chuckles. Who? There are others. Eye open. Gerhardt and Joan on the next bed laughing. Next to me, mermaid laughing. Put hand on hip where skin pokes through bikini lacings. Ooh, saucy. Head up, soft back until fingers. Sinking quicksand of flesh through skin, through ribs. Closed eyes, moving belts like inlaid Moorish patterns. Plummeting back through time, snake time, bish time. Down through giant jungle palm time. Green lacy fernly leaf time. Watching first life oozing, writhing, twisting up. Watching first sea thing crawl up to shore. Lie with her, sand ras under cheek. Then float sea thing down deep, green dark. I am first thing I am. See an eye, don't we? Laughter in dark room, it is interesting to contemplate a tangled bank clothed with many plants of many kinds. Gerhardt's sitting up in dark, shouting with birds singing on the bushes. Various insects flitting about. Oh God, don't let... Oh, an interlude. I don't know what the fuck that is. This end, and with worms crawling through the damp earth, Gerhard, goatee bobbing, and the reflect that these elaborately constructed forms so different from each other. Gerhard gone in the ecstasy and dependent on each other in so complex a manner. I know his ecstasy has all been produced by laws acting around us. We are high priests. These laws taken in ancient evolution trail us from the war of nature, from famine and death, down to fishy bottom float with plankton, the most exalted object which we are capable of conceiving, namely, down to the literal tumbling past coral reef. The production of the higher animals directly follow, and barnacled sea, cliff fathoms down through tangled jungle. There is grandeur in the view of life. Once we were all double-celled creatures. Remember that while this planet has gone on cycling according to the fixed laws of gravity, once we all drifted down soft red-walled caverns, from so simple a beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful. Our neuron, remember, have been and are being evolved. Do you remember? Then begins Blake's long red voyage every time. Less than a pulsation of the artery down the bloodstream is equal into its period and value of 6,000 years floating. Bounce along labyrinthian tunnels, for in this moment the poet's work is done arterial, and all the great events of time start forth through every capillary and are conceived in such a period through pink honeycomb tissue, whirl with a moment, a pulsation of artery along soft watermelon channels. Every space larger than a red globule of man, blood part clotted with scarlet swamps, coagulate, is visionary and is created by the hammer of lost tumbling. Through cabinet heart hole for ventricular, and every space smaller than a globule, sliding down the smooth aerific chute of man's blood, open slow, bumping into narrow tunnel plexus into eternity, of which the vegetable earth feel heart's muscle motor prodding us. Oh boy, here we go again, fellas. I'm about to go into more poetic prose. Yeah, I just know the way that paragraph is constructed. I'm about to go into it. I'm having great fun with this. Obviously, I think a big part of it, by the way, is that it's important that we actually engage in sort of poetic prose, and it's good for our soul and a bunch of other things. So it's actually quite incredible that it actually does happen this way. Because I've noticed that we need both things in our life to sort of, I feel like art and science need to be both together. And maybe we should all study one modality of art and one modality of science for our intellectual and creative edification. But I'm digressing a little bit, so let's continue. I should probably straighten my back a little bit before I go back into it. All right. All right. Chuckles are from across the room, all fall in soft laugh. Some scenes, four sprawled in darkened room, opium den of purest dreams. Oh, you worldling looking and think, you evil know you're wrong, evil in your mental coin. Your evil makes me compassion laugh. Here is no evil, but diamond virtue, pure blue pureness. Beyond desire, only needle moment, Buddha unity. This union of human past with the divinity in solemn moments of religious inspiration established the bond between God and man. The ruler who revered in the divinity in revering his ancestors became thereby the Son of Heaven, in whom the heavenly and the earthly world met in mystical contact. That's why we laughed. Do you understand thinking about that paradox of mental evil and the mindless clean diamond, that why we laugh? Words and thinking are not as important as we said and thought. And so we four drugged ontologists lift up heads and laugh. Many stone carved Semitic mask above water. Don't sleep, don't sleep. Miss the beauty if you sleep. No one sleeps. Head fall back on bed, floating, tumbleweed, wind-driven, certain seeds. Falling on water become duckweed. Oh, I'm not too sure if we're going to see more poetry this time, but we'll continue. Dropping again down shaft of time, when they reached the junction of the land and the water, they became lichen. Sea tiger jungle cats, sinewy. Goodbye, reaching rich soil, they become wutsu, the root of which becomes grubs, while the leaves come from butterflies or husu. Sea reptiles, jewelry, goodbye. So God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, which the waters swarm. Now I see the straggly shore creatures. Goodbye, dear friends. The Yangtze grafted to an old bamboo, which had for a long time put forth no shoots, produced the Qingning. I am drifting down past flowering sea life. Goodbye. And God made the beasts of earth according to their kinds, and the cattle according to its kind. Drifting down through the history of my body, which is all down to the red, wet, warm beginnings. And God saw everything he made, and behold, it was very good. I'm down to the center, to the single point of origin. Hello. Lay pulsing, softly center of all life and time. I, the giant I, giant I, giant I. It is I. Sorry, guys. You know, this whole experience so far has made me wonder if I should take up theatre and maybe actually read poetry on this channel, because I think I do quite well at it. Because reading poetry is it's quite poetic with the way he's just going about things. Just need a little bit of a break there to recenter myself. I get carried away, guys. It's not like I'm a luminostic who's quite centered and he usually goes into cerebral sort of. Great guy, by the way. But maybe that's actually what we need. Someone who's a bit more zany and a little bit more elaborate in terms of emotive speaking, and one who's a bit more serious. Are you serious? Sirius B, the star Sirius. Anyway. Whew. Okay, let's continue. Lying ecstatic, eyes closed on Triassic, Jurassic, sedentary rock formation. One hand on Mandy's vertebrae, hearing interstellar voices from the Mexican patio. Light years away, voice calls. Where are you? Here. I am lying unicell, looking up through the spiral unfolding of 2 billion years. Seeing it all ahead of me, ovum segmentation, differentiation of organs, plant, fish, mammal, monkey, baby, grammar school, college, Harvard, Mexico, Konakava. They want me way up there. Is it worth the whole journey to start the 2 billion year cycle once again? No. Why bother? Let's move over to the Precambrian sludge. No, too wet. Abysses, overlying waters, natural literal rocks. Let's try that Cenozoic sneaky jungle. Ah, yes. What are these fucking random images, man? It's like abstract art or something along those lines. So, I think we're actually nearly towards the end. Or we're getting there. But yeah, it definitely has been a trip. It's interesting calls it trips because that has been a fucking trip every single chapter so far. It's been fantastic. It is now 8 o'clock. Stop mushroom eating begun at 5 o'clock. Stop effect starting to wear off. Stop want to stay here but can't stop returning soon. Stop having moments of non-trance consciousness. Stop. But then enrapturing vision return and clutch of mind. Loosen stop impact of now. World hits retina and don't stop. Mandy and I peer out of cage of earthlings. A pilker friend who has just arrived. Humor of situation pushes over brink to laughter. Friends listen, Dicker orate. Shoots nervous glances in our direction. Wildly funny, then I realize responsibility and role as host. And walk out to porch and have friendly conversations with new arrivals. Explaining what is happening and telling them to go to kitchen for drinks, and we will be eating supper. In an hour or so, they are relieved, and we conclude our perfectly normal conversation. Quiet waters roll and deterring old rumple crocodile paddles up. Deterring reports that the rest of the crowd had landed back on shore and were gathered around the kitchen table. Whiskers had returned and Gerhardt was dictating notes to him. I intend remaining out here long as possible. Stop having wonderful time. Stop wish everyone were here. On living couch, head and flesh pool of Mandy lap, plastics from spinning an eyelid, roof standing above us. Quito? Don't know what that means. Oh well. Join us in the kitchen, everyone talking. No roof. Goodbye, roof. Adonde vas? To Slinky Sea bottom. Roof leans down and shakes my shoulder. Take me with you. Tell me what you see. No, dear nurse Ruth. I can't. Ask Marlon to take you with him on slippery, divvy, skimming, jumping, running for joy across under the sun-specked ocean. Ask your blood to sing the song of voyage down to wine-red cavern of your heart. Can they speak your language? No, neither me. My voice trails off as I head down again. Head falls through, butter belly and melon womb to sofa cushions. Mandy is getting up to check on guests. At the far end of the pool, Mandy and I sit on beach chairs. She climbs on lap. We throw our heads back in watery grey clouds scudding along black sky. Magic mushrooms, sculpting clouds into Roman emperors. Greek gods, football scrimmages, cavalry charges. We sit for full half hour. No words, soft laughter. At secret we share. Then the grey masses change back to clouds for longer and longer periods. And all at once, my legs feel cramped in the chill of the night air, and the trance is over. Maybe my trance is over soon as well. That time was 9:07, and the journey in the other half of the cerebral cortex had lasted 4 hours and 7 minutes from the time of eating. And that was the trip. There you go. We're back to ground zero, fellas. I enjoyed that orating. I should probably do poetry on this channel. Be fantastic. It was the classic visionary voyage, and I came back a changed man. You are never the same after you've had that one flash glimpse down the cellular time tunnel. You are never the same after you've had the veil drawn. True that. In the 7 years since eating 7 mushrooms in the garden in Mexico, I've devoted all my time and energy to the exploration and description of these strange, deep realms. Enthusiasm, if ever wants to install helpers and to set armies marching. Well, everyone, that was trip 2. And that was a trip. I thoroughly enjoyed that. All right. Anyway, so if you guys haven't already, please like, share, subscribe to my Substack and maybe my Twitch. I don't know if I'm ever gonna fucking stream on there, but do that anyway. It's in the description. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.